All right, so we're live. We're going to get this show started. All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Angelique Alexander. I started this during 2020. I was practicing for a competition in my apartment, an operatic type of competition, and I got a nasty letter from a lawyer saying that I would be evicted if I continued to practice at my apartment. So I was hanging out with one of my good friends, and he suggested that we come down to the Rose Garden, and very quickly it turned from being a practice in public to becoming a impromptu performance. So that's how this all kind of got started. And if the conversations right in front of me could come to an end, I would really appreciate that. So, yeah, you guys can talk later. Usually at a performance, you don't talk too much, at least loudly right in the front. So anyway, a little bit about this program so that way you have some background. If you would like to get a copy of the translations, this way you can follow along. I'll be singing in a variety of languages, so it is helpful to have a program. And Dave Schweisguth, I think in the back has got programs, so if you'd like one, you can flag him down when he's around and grab a copy of the translation. Cool. So we are going to get started with this. This is themed as fan favorites, so it'll be all the songs that people have been coming here and getting to know and seem to enjoy, and I enjoy singing. So I hope you guys all enjoy this program today. And let me know if you have a favorite out of the ones that I end up doing. Okay, so first song was written in 1890. It's under the style of Italian Verismo. When we talk about Verismo music, we're talking about the end of romantic music into like big modern music. The way that you think, most of the time when you think of opera being super dramatic, super crazy, over the top, like these big orchestrations, that's Verismo style. And so this is from the opera Cavaleria Rusticana, and this is sung by the character Santuzza, who is a village girl, and she falls in love with this guy, and he kind of uses her to get back at his ex-girlfriend. While he's away at war, his ex-girlfriend goes and gets married, and Santuzza kind of gets caught in the crosshairs there, and she ends up being used by him in order to make his ex-lover jealous. And so then Turiddu and Lola, which are the two characters, the one that she's in love with and his ex, they end up together. But Santuzza, the poor village girl, she ends up completely by herself, and she says, they love each other and I am left to weep. So, a bit dramatic. You'll get to hear my boyfriend playing on this one. He did the accompaniment for this. So, got a nice accompanying track. Thanks to Jonathan Levin. He's a wonderful concert pianist. Thank you. Oh, there's Wes, just in time to be late. There are lots of people behind the scenes that are helping with making this possible. Right now, Dave Schweisguth is on program duty. And so if you would like to follow along with the translations, I'll be singing in a wide variety of languages. If you would like to get a copy of today's program with the translations, you can flag him down and he will come over with programs. That way you can understand what I'm singing. Also, Brian C. always helps out with the back end here with bringing all this equipment and setting everything up, and Jonathan Levin is helping with setting other things up, and then just Alley family, lots of Alley family here, and the Alley is a wonderful bar just up the street, so if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely worth checking out. Wonderful singers and piano players, and just a great community. So, yeah. All right, we're moving on to our second song in the program. This next song is called Alexeylen, All Souls Day. It's written by Richard Strauss, and it was written in 1885. It's from the Romantic period, so I was thinking about this last night, what's different from Romantic period versus Verismo? Verismo's an offshoot of Romantic, right? What's the difference? I think Romantic is more rooted in classical structures, and so that's if you want to know, that's the difference. But so this song is really near and dear to me. My grandmother and my grandfather and my little cousin all passed away during 2020 to 2021, and so it was a lot of losses in our family. And this song took on a new significance for me when my paternal grandfather passed away when I was about 14. My dad had said that he kept finding pennies around the house, and he thought that the pennies were signs from Grandpa saying he was still there. And my grandmother just shook her head at him and was like, "No, that's not. I just forgot that I put pennies down over there." She was very practical about things like that. But this talks about two lovers who have been taken apart from each other, and the line that really strikes me is, "Give me your hand that I may press it secretly to me, and if anyone sees it, it makes no difference to me. Give me only one of your sweet glances, like once in May." And I think that line is talking to the person who's already passed on and saying, I don't care if anyone else sees the pennies. They exist for me, and that's enough that they exist for me. And so when my grandmother, my grandfather's wife, passed away last June, my sister saw a pair of doves that she had never seen, white doves, right outside her window. And she kept seeing them that whole first 2 weeks that my grandmother passed. And my dad was like, "Well, you just probably missed them before," which is funny because he was so excused by his grandmother. He was so dismissed easily by my grandmother. But my sister was like, "No, that's Grandma saying hello." So anyway, Hope you guys like this one. Oh, and at the very end, it sounds like they're not going to be reunited. That's the other important part about this song. At the very end of the song, with the music, it sounds like they're not going to be reunited. And then at the very last minute, they're reunited for that one day in May where the souls from the dead get to visit. So I love that song. The song is really near and dear to me. Thank you, guys. This was a new song. This next one is a new one for me. So it was written in 1879, also romantic, Tchaikovsky. And this is in Russian, which, considering all the crazy stuff happening, I know that people might feel a type of way that I'm singing a song in Russian, but I think it really relates to the struggle that we're seeing playing out right now in the Ukraine. So one of the things that we're seeing right now is we're seeing people having to flee their homelands. We're seeing people who were not trained in military becoming part of this, like, you know, fighting for their lives, their families, their country in this really inspiring way and heartbreaking way at the same time. And so this is from Joan of Arc, who is also a female character who was called to war at a young age, she was like 14, and she led an army to victory. She's like a complete badass. Like, you know, she's crushing it. And she talks about the fear that comes with that. It's terrifying to leave your homeland. She talks about leaving the streams that she knows, the valleys, the woods. She's leaving everything behind. If anybody would like a program, would like to follow along with what I'm singing, Dave Schweisguth is walking around with that. This way it's not so foreign if you want to check that out. So she's leaving and saying a farewell to her everything, and she says, like, I'm leaving my sheep, my flock of sheep who I love so dearly, to tend murderous pastures of war. That's pretty heavy. So anyway, this is a new song. It's not quite a fan favorite yet because I don't think enough people have heard it enough times, but I think it will quickly become one because it's a really dramatic, beautiful, gorgeous piece. So I hope you guys enjoy this. It is very hot today. So thank you all for coming out because, yeah, it's very hot. All right. Thank you. If you just, thank you all for being here. My name is Angelique Alexander. I'm from New York, but I've lived in the Bay Area for the last 5 years. And there are lots of people here, new and old friends. And there's lots of supporters from the Alley, which is a local bar just down the street, piano bar, fantastic. If you haven't been, make sure you go and check them out. We are doing fan favorite songs today, so based on the songs that I know that people have told me that they like, that's where this theme came from, based on what people have said that they enjoyed. So that one is one that I enjoy, so I put that on the program. All right, we are going to keep going here. The next one is probably everyone's favorite. If you've been to any of these, it's probably your favorite out of all the ones that I do. This is from Samson and Delilah. It was written in 1877. And this is just some beautiful music. If you would like to get a program, I saw Joseph, that's my new friend, right? There's programs with translations. If you'd like one, we can come around and get you one. So this is from Samson and Delilah, like I said, and if you don't know, Samson goes and destroys Delilah's temple. She's a different, she's from a different religion. He destroys her temple. She's really, really angry because she's like the high priestess of the temple, and she's not pleased with what has just happened. So what she decides to do is she decides to get back at him and find out where his source of strength is coming from. In order to do so, she makes him fall in love with her. And then after he falls in love with her, she finds out it's his hair. She chops off his hair. And he, the whole thing. Yeah, you know the rest, right? And so, so it takes a lot to get this guy to fall in love with her. She's got one shot, really. Like, if she's discovered for what her real intentions are, she's gone, right? So this is like a big deal in the opera, in the storyline, in everything. So that's why the music is just so incredible. I think you guys will, if you haven't heard this one yet, you'll love it. Anyway, so this is from Simpson and Delilah. Mon cœur. All right. I know, this is everyone's favorite. Like, for real favorite. If anybody needs a program, there is Dave Schweisguth. Thank you very much for helping out.
Pour me, si je me plais.
That's one of the ones people really like. That one usually. I like that one a lot. I fell in love with it many, many years ago, and it's still one of my favorite arias to this day. And I've sung it like a million times via Zoom calls or the last couple years, and that says something that even singing it a million times, still one of my favorites. So we are moving along with the program. Do we have any translations left, Dave? Yeah, we have some. So if you would like to follow along with translations, if you're new to the room and you would like some translations, Dave's your man over there. He's got translations. Just flag him over, and he'll wave him over, and he'll come over with the translations. All right, this next song is not my favorite, but it's a fan favorite, so I'm going to do it. This next one is written in 1816. It is of the bel canto style. Bel canto means beautiful singing. So this is from Il Barbiere di Seville. It's the Barbers of Seville, and this song is Una voce poco fa. So Una voce poco fa is about a girl. She's talking about how she's in love with this guy Lindoro, and she's actually being like fostered by an older man, and he's like pretty sure he's grooming her for marriage, and she's like, no, that's not happening. I'm in love with Lindoro. He's gonna be mine. I will be victorious, and if my guardian thinks that he's going to be interfering in this, I know that I can be sweet and respectful and obedient and kind, but if he touches me, I turn into a snake. And so that's the attitude of this song. Kind of fun. So. Let me just make sure I'm at the part where we start. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Have fun and follow my channel. See you soon.
It's the girl that does the accompaniments. dispettosa, sono obbediente, dolce amorosa, mi lascio riggere, mi fa guidar, ma se mi toccano dove il mio debole sarò una vipera, sarò, e gente troppo prima di cedere farò giocar, e cento trappole prima di cedere farò giocar, e cento trappole prima di cedere, e cento trappole farò giocar. Io sono docile, sono obbediente, mi lascio reggere, mi fa guidare. Ma se mi toccano dove il mio debole sarò una vipera, sarò, e cento trappole prima di cedere farò giocar, e cento trappole prima di cedere farò giocar, e cento trappole prima di cedere, e cento trappole farò giocar, e cento trappole farò giocar, e cento trappole farò giocar, farò giocar, farò giocar. Sì. Thank you. Yeah, that one's kind of fun. You know, a lot of work. so not my favorite, but a lot of people like it, so put it on here. Okay, this next one. This one is from Johnny Skiki. And this is Johnny Skiki is a comedic opera. It was written in 1917. It's also that Verismo style that we were talking about with the big orchestration and blah, 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 all that stuff, right? So, O mio bambino caro is this song. The character Lauretta is Johnny Skiki's daughter, and she wants to marry this man, and the guy that she's in love with just found out that his whole inheritance given away to the church by his uncle, and he's not getting a penny, and so now he can't marry her because he doesn't have a place to take her, so everything's pending on this inheritance. He kind of like Johnny Skiki pretends to be the uncle and rewrites the will, which is so illegal, and like he the whole time he's telling the family that the whole family got cheated out of their inheritance. He's rewriting it, and as he's rewriting it, they're all ready to tell on him at any minute because he gives all the best properties to his good friend Johnny Skiki, which is him, right? And the whole family, as they're trying to be like, oh, you can't say that, he reminds them that with his hand that if they say anything, all of them will get their hands chopped off for stealing. So it's kind of funny and ridiculous, but the only serious moment in the whole opera is before Johnny Skiki decides to help this crazy family who's really unappreciative of him. His daughter throws herself at his feet and says, "Daddy, you have to help me. You have to help me marry the man that I love. If you don't help me, I'm going to throw myself off the bridge, and I'm going to kill myself in typical 15-year-old girl dramatic fashion, you know. So, anyway, this is a dramatic song where she's begging for help, and it's the only serious thing in the whole opera. So, definitely worth seeing if you haven't seen it. That was a lot, that last one. A little extra water. Thank you. Also, typically, I'm a mezzo. My name is Angelique. For anybody who just came in, my name is Angelique. I'm a mezzo soprano. I've been in education for a very long time as a math teacher, not as a music teacher. Go figure. Life has funny pathways. Usually during these concerts, I do one soprano aria because they are not the same, and I can only handle doing one really high piece like that. So that was the soprano aria for y'all. So that was it. And the rest of these are all mezzo things and things in lower keys and stuff like that. All right, this next one is from my favorite opera, but is not my favorite song from my favorite opera. But everybody knows it. Everybody here has heard it, no matter like what your age is. You've probably heard this. It's very integrated into pop culture. This is from Carmen, written in 1875. Fun fact, George Bizet, he wrote this, and he got to see it, I believe, performed 32 times. And it was a complete flop in his lifetime. Like, he kept trying to sell it to different opera houses, and they were like, boo, this stinks, this is terrible. And like within a year of his death, it became like one of the most performed operas of all time. So tragic that he never got to live to see his life's masterpiece become a success. But this is one of my absolute favorites. If you've never seen an opera before, go see this one. This is the one that you want to start with, because walking in the door, you already know a lot of the music. That sounds like it's cheating. It's not. In opera, you need to have context. You need to have background. It's always good to read the synopsis, familiarize yourself with the characters beforehand. And so Carmen will be friendly to you because you've heard a lot of the songs. This one is her introduction piece. Carmen is just getting out of the cigarette factory. All the men have been cheering, waiting for Carmen this whole time. They're all surrounded at the water trough where the women take breaks, and they're waiting anxiously for Carmen to make her appearance. And the very first thing that she says, when will I love you? Well, I don't know. Maybe never. Maybe tomorrow. But definitely not today. That's for certain. And that's like how she starts off the whole kick of this opera. From this song, she tells Don Jose, who's the other main character, her main love interest throughout the thing. She tells him from day one, don't fall in love with me. Don't fall in love with me because I don't love people back. Like, I only love you if you don't pay attention to me. I call this phenomenon the sandwich phenomenon. Like, when you see someone with a really delicious sandwich and you're like, oh, I want that sandwich. And then you get the sandwich and it never tastes as good as it looked when you saw somebody else eat it, you know? So that's how I used to describe it to my students when I would sing this. So, yeah, she gets the sandwich and then it doesn't taste as good and she kind of wants to throw it away later. So, yeah, this is the song where she tells him, don't fall in love with me. This is an accompaniment by my very good friend who is here, who helps set up all the background stuff, Brian C. Yes, Brian. Also, he's one of the piano players at the Alley, so you should come and check him out. He's there on Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays from 8 to 12 and Saturdays from 9 to 1.
Quand je vous aimerai, ma foi, je ne sais pas, peut-être jamais, peut-être demain, mais pas aujourd'hui. C'est certain. M'amourer d'oiseaux rebelles que nul ne peut apprivoiser. Et c'est bien avec qu'on appelle celui qu'on vient de refuser. En effet, mais sous prière, nous parle bien l'autre éteint. C'est l'autre que je préfère. Il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît. L'amour est avant de bohème. Il n'a jamais connu des lois. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Si je te regarde à toi. Mais si je n'aime pas, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, regarde à toi. Oiseau que tu croyais si prendre et baptiser les lanceaux volants. L'amour était beau d'entendre, tu n'y l'entends, puis il est là. Et tout le soir, et de vide, il vient son pas, puis sur la bière. Et tu crois lui, il t'évite, tu crois les vite, et il t'attire. L'amour est avant de bohème. Il n'a jamais
you. So that one, most people know that one. That's a good one, right? Everyone knows that. Yeah, I started singing that when I was like 15. So it's been a lot of years of singing that and difficult relationships with it where sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. But I love the opera no matter what. I've seen Carmen between videos and live performances at least 25 times. It's one of my favorites. And I've listened to it hundreds of times, like maybe thousands. I don't know. I always listen to it in the car. It's wonderful. This next one is also from Carmen. This one is actually kind of one of my favorites. Yeah, like out of the ones in Carmen, this one's definitely like high up there in favorites. It's scandalous. It's absolutely scandalous. So what happens is Carmen gets caught cutting up a girl in the cigarette factory. They get into a fight with each other. This is Act 1. She gets caught cutting up a girl, and so she gets arrested because, like, even in the 1800s, that was illegal. You weren't allowed to, like, go and slash someone's face, right? So she gets arrested, and she's talking to Don Jose, the one who ends up being her main, like, love interest throughout the opera, and she tells Don Jose, "You're going to let me go because you're in love with me." And he's like, "No, I'm not." At the end of the Habanera, the song that you just heard, she throws a rose at him, and she says, "The rose that I threw at you earlier, that was an enchanted rose, and it already worked its magic. Too late. You're in love with me." Boom. And so then he's like, you know what? I don't want to hear it from you. Shut your mouth and stop talking to me. That's what he says to her. And so she goes, "Fine. You don't want me to talk? I won't talk." And so she goes and proceeds to sing for the rest of the time. And at one point, he's like, "Shut up." That's where you guys see it. Like, do you guys see where it says Jose? And it's like, "Shut up. I told you not to talk to me." And she's like, "What? I'm not talking to you. I'm just singing to myself about how I'm going to find a lover and how wonderful it's going to be." And he ends up kind of falling for it, like, loser. And he, like, totally falls for everything that she says. And he ends up letting her go. And he ends up going to prison for it. Yeah, he loses a lot for her. He, like, ends up losing a lot for her. But anyway, so this is the song where she gets him to let her go. And by the end, usually in most stagings, for those of you who think that opera is always PG, it's not always PG. I mean, like, they're, like, full on, you know, by the end. So anyway, it's a fun song. You'll get to see me do that and pretend, you know, I'm two characters here. I get to be Don Jose and Carmen. So, lucky me. I love dating myself. Do we have any more translations? Anybody new that's joining us that would like a translation? Dave has translations, so you can follow along and see what I'm singing. If you just wave him over, he'll come over and give you a translation. Thank you, Dave, for doing that. All right. This one is like a kind of intense one, which you might want to follow along with, or you probably will get the gist from the way I do it anyway, but, you know. Vous me défendez de parler? Je n'ai pas les répliques.
Ritira poi de Seville, chez mon ami Lilas Bastia, j'irai danser la sigue diabare du Monzania. J'irai chez mon ami Lilas Bastia. Oui, mais tout est silence lui. Et les plaisirs sont dodus, donc pour me tenir compagnie, j'emmènerai mon amoureux. Mon amoureux, il est admirable, je l'ai mis à la portée, ma pauvre cœur très consolant, ma cœur libre comme elle est, je t'égale dans la douceur. Séville, prêtez rapport de Séville, chez mon ami Las Pastia, j'irai danser la Séguédia, barre du Monzania. Oui, j'irai chez mon ami Las Pastia. Tais-toi, je t'avais dit de ne pas me parler. Je ne te parle pas, je chante pour moi-même, je chante pour moi-même. Et je pense, il n'est pas défendu de passer. Je pense certains ambitieux, je pense certains ambitieux qui m'aimait et comme autour, oui, comme autour, je pourrais bien aimer. Mon officier n'est pas un capitaine, pas même un lieutenant. Il n'est pas brigadier, mais c'est assez pour une bohemienne. Et je digne à me contenter, Carmen, je suis comme la livre. Si je sers, si je me livre, ta promesse, tu la tiendras. Si je meurs, Carmen, Carmen, tu m'aimeras. Oui, nous danserons la Séguédia et buvons du Monzania. Des rapports de Séville, chez mon ami Las Pastia, danserons la Séguédia, boirons du Monzania. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la.
Thank you. Thank you. So that one's kind of fun. You know, she's like getting all intimate with herself. Or with Don Jose, you know, and I'm getting all intimate with myself in front of you all because, you know, there's no Don Jose here. So anyway, we are getting along in the program. Thank you all for being here and sticking with me. My name is Angelique Alexander. We've got a couple more songs for you guys today. And if you enjoyed this and would like to throw anything in my metaphorical tip jar that's at the top of the program, or you could come and do a real, like, you know, like a show of appreciation by hand if you wanted. These are free, but, you know, it's for the love of the music. That's really why I'm here. So we are at number 9 in the program. This song is near and dear to me. It is Von Ewige Liebe. It is written by Brahms, Johannes Brahms, and this is just a beautiful piece. There's 3 characters in it. I get to, again, be different characters. I like pieces where I get to be different characters. They're kind of fun. So the first character is the narrator who's setting the scene, talking about how it's really dark and gloomy out, and there's like this moody, overcast feeling, and the narrator sees a couple walking forth from the village, and it looks like they're about to talk about some real serious, heavy stuff. So then it changes characters, and the male comes in, and the male of this couple says, "If my love brings you shame or dishonor, let us be torn apart as quickly as we came together. Let us be torn apart by rain and wind as quickly as we once came together." And then after that, you hear a storm in the accompaniment done by my boyfriend, who is the piano player. So you hear him do a storm, which tears them apart, right? But out of the calmness of the storm comes the woman. And the woman says, "Look, we're good. We're fine. I love you. You love me. Everything's gonna be fine. Just chill out. Our love is stronger than steel and iron. Those can be changed by people. But our love, who can change our love? Our love is a forever love, which is why it's called the forever love. So it's like it's sad because it's like the ending that Brahms wanted for him and Clara Schumann, but Clara Schumann was married to his best friend Robert Schumann, so that's kind of sad. But he had to write it somewhere for somebody else.
Twinkle,
you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking with me through this journey of fan favorites. I would love to hear from y'all. Like at the end, I promise I don't bite, or anything weird. Just come up and say hello and tell me what your favorite was. Like I would love to know what your favorite was from this program, because this program was comprised of all the favorites that people usually enjoy hearing in the previous couple seasons. This last piece, I saved this one for last. We're ending on a downer. Sorry. We're ending on a downer, but it's super dramatic and super crazy, and everyone always loves this one, even though, it's not like the happiest story. So a little background about it. This is from Il Trovatore, Verdi, and so it comes out of like the grand French opera tradition, like super over-the-top orchestrations, ballet, all like just crazy nut stuff. So it's set in, I think it's in 1290 during the Spanish Inquisition. And this character, Azucena, watches her mother get burned at the stake for being a witch. That's a little traumatic. A little, right? And so she's like freaking out because she just watched her mother get burned at the stake in front of her, and her mother is crying to her in her last moments, asking her daughter to avenge her. So like, that's no pressure. And so Azucena is mad with grief, and she decides she's gonna attack the guy who's like the count of the city who put her mother to death. She goes and she attacks him by getting his son, and she's going to throw his son into the same fire that her mother just perished in. But she gets this delirious fog as this happens, and she throws a baby in the fire. And then she looks next to her and sees the count's son and realizes in her madness and grief she threw her own child into the flames. So pretty horrific. She ends up raising, when she sings this song, Boy has grown up. She's like explaining all this backstory to him. For the first time in his life, he's finding out that he's not her child. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I can avenge her for you. And so he like tries to, and he falls in love with this girl who's, his brother is the new count. And his brother doesn't know that they're brothers, and they're in love with the same girl, and he ends up being locked up for trying to defy him and, everything else. And he ends up getting executed by his brother, and Azucena is crazy. And so at the end of the opera, she's like watching this boy that she raised from infants up, and she's like, haha, my mother has finally been avenged. She's nuts, right? Anyway, so this is a fun piece. Hope y'all like it. The first time I ever did this on a Zoom call, Brian C., who's around somewhere, he called me the minute I finished singing, and he was like, whoa, what was that? That was so incredible. I love that. And so, yeah, this is a fan favorite, even though it's a little dark. A little. And this is the last one for today, so we're ending on a big blowout bang here.
Al suo destino tremendo
All right. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you would like to come up and say hello, feel free. I've got cards in case you'd like to keep in touch. Thank you all for coming out here. Thanks for everybody that made this possible. Thanks, Mom, for pushing it. So thank you all for being here. Next one is the first weekend in August is the next one. August 7th, Sunday. We'll be here same time, 3:30. Thank you very much. Don't know yet. Unclear. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, guys.